Hey, Simon, DJ Cheeba. Thank you very much for doing this.
Cool, man. Hello.
So I've been watching your stuff for ages, years now, and you've been video DJing for a while, and you also compose video DJing. How did you first get into video DJing?
Just this, the software just came about.
And it was
So
Serato.
it was Serato, yeah. So I basically, I was beta testing for Serato loads, and Rain with the TTM57 that was coming out, and then they were like, "Hey, we're going to start doing this video thing. Do you want to beta test that?" I was like, yeah, sure. So I whapped it in a few music videos, and I'd come from a background of studying sort of audio and video editing in college and stuff like that. So it just jumped into my brain straight away that to make the most of this and jump on it and get ahead of the curve was to start cutting my own videos for it, which kind of started out as just making battle breaks, like visual battle breaks. And then kind of got a bit deeper, really.
And so you were making video before you were working with video remixing.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. Well, it all kind of, yeah, it was a while ago. It all kind of blends into one now.
But you knew your way around like an editor like Premiere or something before you.
Oh, dude, I think you might think I'm younger than I am. I started off editing on two SVHS players and editing audio on splicing tape. So, yeah, I mean, after that, I kind of became aware of Avid. And then when I finally went to university, I was started using Pro Tools and yeah, I think I was using Premiere. I can't remember. I wasn't so into video at uni. I was more getting into audio stuff. But yeah, that's when sort of software started to happen in computers. But before that, it was pause tapes. Basically, you hear Mixmaster Mike talking about. He started with pause tapes, and I was doing that on SVHS videos, really.
So you were trying to create video music compositions with SVHS?
No, I was trying to make bonkers reworkings of stuff. Do you know, I was thinking about this morning, and where a load of this originated from, and it's really quite sad, is I used to change the message on my mum's answering machine loads. And so what I'd do is I'd get loads of clips out of things like Mad Max and Steinsky stuff and stuff I'd heard out of mixtapes, and I'd pause tape them all together and yeah, kind of flip them in a wordplay kind of way and leave them on the answer machine. So when people rang up, they'd be answered by, Mad Max, that, all their sentences kind of chopped together would create new stuff. It was kind of taken out of context. But that's kind of where it started, which is really stupid. But
I've spoken to a lot of video remixers who a lot of them come from the hip hop aesthetic, and I think
yeah.
a lot of them, though they might play house music or be into dance music, say that hip hop is a big influence because of its culture of sampling. As a young person, were you predominantly into hip hop?
What was I into? I mean, I kind of started out loving the Police and Madonna and stuff like that. But and then I got into electronic music more than hip hop, really. I kind of got into hip hop quite late, I suppose. It's probably 15 or 16. And then, after that, it all kind of ate it all up super fast, really. I think I had kind of a really influential tape my brother gave me that was a cold cut peel sessions that I just spent ages trying to wrap my head around, and that kind of short attention span, cut and paste stuff held my attention and caught my interest. And yeah, I suppose that would follow through into my style of video stuff and style of DJing. Style of everything is pretty short attention spanny, choppy, kind of broad in its net, kind of quite a broad palette of stuff, trying to pull stuff together to create new context for it, which probably goes back to the answer machines.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned Cold Cut's my entry point for video remixing, and also the Solid Still show of that you became part of hearing music. I was into the Prodigy and Fatboy Slim and pop music, and it was only when I discovered Solid Still that I first started hearing like weird world music remixed with hip hop and, like you're saying, short attention span stuff. Is Solid Still kind of became the only natural home for something like what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty taken with it because I found it quite rare. I thought music took itself so seriously, and I just kind of found that whole thing with, journeys by DJs or whatever, that would, these amazingly trawled samples they're pulled out and dropping Doctor Who and stuff like that, and then all the stuff through Solid Steel, I kind of really started to prick up my ears to Solid Steel when we started putting on the nights in Bristol. I can't place a date on that, but probably would have been about 15 years ago we started doing that. And we had cats like Money Shot coming through, and Strepsil, and people, United States of Audio, people who were kind of putting silly things in their mixtapes. Like Double D and Steinsky is all that kind of like advertising stuff flipped, and it's like, Yeah,
I've seen you do Solid Still video mixes too.
Yeah, we did do that for a while, yeah.
And so when you play the live Solid Still shows, do you do a lot more video?
Well, back then, I was doing video stuff, sure. Yeah, I mean, like most of when I was doing the Solid Steel stuff, it was I was doing video shows solo, and then obviously touring with Food and Money Shot doing the Beastie Boys show. So that was kind of the main output.
Yeah, and you do lots of varieties of live shows. You do a lot of double screen stuff. We have two different separate videos mixing into each other. How do you do that? A double show?
Double laptops.
And two turntables, and you're just flicking the input back and forth, or?
No, I was doing it. So yeah, like I say, I do a few different shows. I kind of get an idea and then talk myself into it, no matter what cost of time or potential for it not spending any money or anything like that. I just kind of convince myself that I need to put my time into something or regret it. So yeah, the Double Vision show was basically, I was thinking about how to move away from just doing a simple 2-deck AV show on a 4:3 or 16:9 screen. So obviously there's a move to mapping. At the time I wasn't sort of up with all of that, and kind of wanted something that would be packageable and get to tour to festivals and venues that had cinema screens or whatever, and how could I build on that to make it more interesting. So yeah, I thought about putting another screen on the front of the booth, and yeah, essentially running 2 laptops, 2 mixers and 3 decks. So it's just spinning plates really. So one lot would go to the booth in front and one would go to the one behind, and then later on I started using NDI links. It was one could duplicate the other and switch around, and it was just kind of, I think I did it to keep myself busy and occupied and excited, and also kind of I like leaving an audience wondering how stuff's done. I kind of want them to be surprised and excited and confused and entertained, but I want it to be like technologically exciting as well, because that's what would excite me.
And you use Serato Video Mix Emergency?
I'm using Mix Emergency, yeah, and Serato DJ.
Nice. And do you have another visual mixer that you use to blend the 2 laptops together?
I have done that with camera feeds as well, and using the V4. I'm kind of on the edge of switching it up again. But yeah, I was basically, so I had the 3 decks, 2 mixers, 2 laptops, and the laptops would be linked with an NDI and an output, so I could kind of mess with it all pretty much just using the controls and the mixer that have been MIDI patched. I'm starting to think about using Ableton more with Ableton Link and Max for Live.
Have you checked out Ebo Suite?
Yeah.
It's good.
The Catalyst. But yeah, so the other thing is I've always tried to keep my stuff compact, which sounds bonkers when I'm 2 laptops, 2 mixers, 3 turntables, but it's portable because there's turntables in venues. And then I really wanted to get away from using needles because they're just a pain in the bum. And now we've kind of got the intro of Phase coming out and the Rain 12 and stuff like that. Kind of excited to jump on that.
Do you feel the same with CD decks as vinyl when scratching?
Hell no, man. Maybe some of the ones that rotate, the denim ones, or those the Newmark NS7 controllers, but still not there really. And yeah, I can't get with a CDJ. As much as I've tried, I think it's just like there's a jump in technique. There's a very definite change in technique because the thing's not spinning.
Yeah.
Sure, it's something you could get to grips with, but now that we've kind of got these phase controllers, it's the best of both worlds. So you've got the motor of a Technics 1200, and you've got the stability and scope of, a pure tone.
Yeah, when I started out doing the video, it was originally laptops, and then it was the DVJs with the giant SVM mixer, and it was flight cases everywhere because no clubs had it at all. Do you take your turntables around with you?
I don't take turntables now.
Everyone's got decent turntables.
Generally. Yeah, and I'm pretty good at getting to a venue or a club early and checking everything out. And the first thing I'll do is kind of check the pitches using the scopes. And as long as they're cool, then I'm cool. 'Cause, I've kind of got my own setup of slip mats and control vinyls and styluses and stuff like that. So as long as the pitches are true, then I'm happy, really.
So you're still married to the needle for now?
For now, yeah. But, the phase thing's coming out, which is really exciting. So I'll definitely be jumping on that.
Yeah, and I've seen you use an iPad in your live sets a lot. Or a touchscreen device.
Yeah, I basically, because like mixers like the Rain 62 or, Pioneer S9 or whatever, you can MIDI map those to pretty much any features of Serato or Mix Emergency or VDMX or whatever, really. But I didn't really want to what I found with the TTM57 was I was always changing layers on it, and it's kind of gets a bit confusing where you're at. So I kind of wanted a system where everything in front of me just had one life. It didn't have layers of MIDI that I'd have to remember where I was or potentially get confused. So I kind of started using the iPad to control some of the video features, and then really got into TouchOSC and some of the bonus things you could do with it, create sort of hot cues to things in lists. So for me, the transitions lists and stuff in Serato Video and Mix Emergency, I really wanted to be able to jump to a black luma fade and then to a cut. I didn't want to have to scroll through it to find it. And there was hacks you could do where you could get into the XML code of it and delete some of them so that the lists would be shorter, so you could scroll faster. But yeah, using TouchOSC or Lima or whatever, you can create hot cues to jump to different things in pull down lists. So that was the exciting thing for me. And then, a few long train journeys, and they just got more and more intricate, the patches and layouts, and still using them now and making them for VDMX at the moment.
Nice. When you go to using Ableton, what we use to control it?
Push 2.
But then you'll keep scratching as another channel and Mix Emergency, or?
Yeah. So it'll be I'm kind of looking at the Rain 72 and then using using a regular turntable with a phase on it, and then the push 2, so it'll be scratching on one deck, and then Ableton with the Ableton Suite through push 2 on the other. But Serato and Ableton have got the Ableton Link, and more stuff with Ableton Link, like Ninja Jam, stuff like that. Just toys to play with, pedals as well. The Range 72's kind of got a pedal input, so there's exciting, possibly great.
And then patch Ebo Suite and Mix Emergency through Siphon into VDMX or something.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit.
Yeah, I'm really excited by VDMX at the moment. I've kind of been using it for some corporate work and some stuff I've been doing with Limbic Cinema over the years at festivals. And it's really exciting software. It's crazy deep and possibilities are huge. Yeah,
modular and unlimited. A lot of interactive installation stuff uses VDMX as its base just because it's so easy to adapt.
Yeah, it's super dope, man. And the fact that I can pull everything together with Siphon is great, and then MadMapper as well. So there's I've always got a huge list of projects I'd like to do. Some of them definitely involve MadMapper and artists I know and stuff like that. And I'm always kind of juggling this list, and I still don't really know what's at the top of my list at the moment, other than looking after my kids.
Yeah, that's the same thing every day. So I was speaking to Stuart Warren-Hill, Hexstatic, who's also in Bristol. Is Bristol there? So that's out of like 5 interviews I've done, 2 people are in Bristol. Is Bristol like an epicenter for video remix?
Bristol is a pretty shit hot place for arts and music. It's kind of the Bristol sound, but I don't know if that's a thing or not, because really it's just kind of one of the epicenters where trip hop kind of blew up, really. There's a scene here for sure. There's visual artists here, but I'm sure there's visual artists everywhere. Are
you and Stuart the only video remix artists you know of in Bristol?
No, we know definitely lots of, like I said, Limbic Cinema. They're in the studio next door to me. They do lots of projection mapping and installations and AV stuff for tours, and they're doing the Temple at Glastonbury and stuff like that. There's the Cube Cinema. It's really forward thinking. You run the cinema. We're really lucky like that, and we've got Arnold Feeney, which kind of jump on really far up. Electronica installations. Joni Lemercier was in Bristol for a long time, and Anti-BJ, those guys. So I don't think it's anything in the water. I think it's just coincidence. There is there's definitely people around, and I feel kind of blessed like that, because there's always someone to ask about something or to collab with something, or often we'll kind of share job offers if we can't do things, and then stuff gets passed around.
Nice. Going back to the live show video remix stuff, a lot of video DJs kind of do music videos and they're just DJing tunes together and then doing music, but the stuff you do is a lot more video remix, and you compose a lot of stuff. I think you were saying earlier it was just about making battle breaks, but I've seen a lot of your stuff online where it's actual original compositions from video samples.
Yeah.
And were you composing with samples before you got into video?
Yes and no. I think for my audio mixtapes, I always wanted to make them really intricate, really layered, really interesting. Have not only layered and interesting, but have the layers, have layers of reference in them as well. Stuff that you might pick up on after a few listens. So every time you listen to it, it delivers something new, and it's intricate and clever and in key, and sends you on a journey and all this shit. And the video stuff just kind of followed on from that, really. Yeah, I mean, I was using lots of movie samples and TV samples and all that sort of stuff, and to be able to visualize it was kind of an obvious move. Sometimes things pop into my head. Lots of the music that I want to put into a video mix, I kind of start with the audio. I have a crate of stuff that's got good videos for it, but I kind of mostly start with the audio and see how stuff layers. So stuff in key and stuff that works with the kind of build up of the mix or whatever is pretty important. If they don't have good video content for them, then I kind of like the way my mind will skip to things that kind of reference it or can cross-reference it. Sometimes this can work on a really nerdy level. Sometimes it's just stupid mashed potato bollocks. It can go either way, really. But yeah, I mean, it's often laborious and slow, and I did that after school special project, and that was like nearly 4 years I was doing that, just slowly tapping away at it. And it's great when it's done. They just seem so laughably ridiculous to start them sometimes. But yeah, often they could come good. It's good to collaborate with people because it forces you a bit more. Or book a show is another one I do, and I'm like, hey, I haven't started this yet, but I've kind of booked into a cinema and I've really got to do this. So that's often how stuff gets finished, is the loom of a deadline or a festival.
I think a lot of people building video remixes are doing like 3-4 minute pieces, whereas it is a lot of what you're doing building something you can perform. Like it's still in its elements when it's on your hard drive in Serato and you're performing the actual composition.
Yeah, no, I mean, for like loads of those big mixes, I make them as one big thing and then deconstruct it back for the show files. I have done like 3-minute video remixes, and I probably should do them a lot because I think people pick up on that. But yeah, like I say, I rarely do things that I think I should for a wise businessy, career decision, and follow my heart a bit too much and just end up doing stuff that excites me, really, and just want to get it done. I've got, a ton of things on this summer, so yeah, just kind of want to see them come to fruition, really.
What about live streaming?
Yeah, that too. I've definitely toyed with some of this, certainly at shows. I think in the studio potentially, but I'm a bit too I'm never really in the studio doing mucking about on turntables for an hour. I'm trying to do 6 things at once. But yeah, maybe you should do some live streaming. I've thought about it. I've thought about doing more video podcasts, short ones. A few bits and pieces, sure.
Yeah, what are you working on next?
What am I working on next? I kind of got this long-burning rescore of Shogun Assassin that I've been doing with a guy called Indeed. Mostly because we were watching Shogun Assassin, and at the start of it, it's got that famous sample with the kid talking about his
choice.
Dad. Yeah, and every time it came on, we'd just start humming the start of Liquid Swords. And because it never came on, we were like, oh man, I wish someone would just put that under it. And it was like, what if we started using loads of beats from Liquid Swords? And then it was like, hey, we don't need to use the instrumentals from Liquid Swords. We could make our own beats out of the things that they sampled and more wooey stuff. And just Shogun Assassin's really kind of got 80s synth all over it. And its soundtrack's awesome in its own way, but we kind of wanted to marry it with the woo a bit better, really.
So you find a version of Shogun Assassin with 5.1 audio and pull the music off it?
No, mostly. Well, I did Plan 9 from Outer Space as well, a couple of years ago, and I basically just went through the film and pulled out the audio everywhere I could. And it kind of works out. There was, Shogun Assassin 2, there's not much, obviously because we're using the dubbed version as well. You can really get away with stuff. You can really, and you can pull out some spoken word as well that doesn't necessarily need to be heard or isn't essential to the story, especially if it's narration. So, yeah, kind of that'd be the first place I'd start with the rescore, is kind of get this film into Ableton or whatever, and just try and see how much you can pull it out.
And
certainly for Plan 9 from Outer Space, I got just doing that and putting some effects on stuff and a bit of EQing and stuff. I got a pretty good sort of a cappella version of the movie.
When you do a rescore, are you remixing the film at all, or is it just a straight performance to the film as it is?
Well, with Plan 9 from Outer Space, it was all licensed from the studio who owned the film. It was done for the BFI and the Watershed, and one of the kind of main things they kind of put their foot down on was, don't be chopping up the film. You can mess with the audio of it, but don't be sort of changing the timeline and, drumming stuff or scratching things. So it's like a rescore project. And I think that's kind of a nice way to honour the film as it is, and the story and the cinematography. And yeah, I mean, it's a rescore project, not really a video project, really, because I'm not really messing with the video. But it's still, for a performance point of view, it takes us to a cinema and we perform in a cinema and people are watching it. So,
when you're working in the studio preparing stuff like video music stuff, what are you working on? What's the software?
I edit audio lots in Ableton Live. It's super intuitive. The warping's amazing. Changing keys of things and messing with the timing and the warping so good. So generally Ableton, Final Cut, sort of DJ Pro. What else am I using? I started messing around with that Serato sample plugin. Hang on, pull up my dock. What else do I play with? Yeah, VDMX. Sometimes I sort of run stuff through VDMX to kind of tap into their effects loads. MPEG Stream Clip, all that kind of stuff.
Where'd you get your video samples?
DVD or the internet. If you want me to name drop sites, like archive.org is good source. YouTube's alright now, Vimeo, whatever. There's loads. You just dig for it. I mean, it's all really easy. There's add-ons for your browsers and all sorts of ways of getting videos. I generally try and take stuff that I'm allowed to take, or with permission and stuff. So. And
do you stack up hard drives of content, or do you delete it after a while?
Yeah, no, I stack it up. Yeah. I think in this daisy age of people sharing video constantly as well, and having a rep for this sort of thing, people do tag me and stuff a lot that they've seen. Which is great, and then I just grab it, try and label it, try and catalogue as best I can. But I kind of do monthly file sorts, and there's always like a ton of videos that are just their file name is just a load of numbers because I pulled it off somewhere off the net and didn't bother labelling it at the time.
Yeah, but Vimeo usually.
Yeah, that does that with numbers a lot. Any stuff that's kind of been uploaded to Facebook or whatever is, always comes out as numbers. But yeah, I try and catalogue it, but I should do it better. There's always ways to improve my workflow.
Nice. So one thing you did is Pulp Fiction, where you've done some rotoscoping of the different characters sitting in the wrong scene. Ring any bells? John Travolta's looking around the room, and you've done some rotoscoping effect
Someone else did that.
Samuel Jackson. Oh, that wasn't you. I saw that on your channel. Because I was looking for live videos.
Yeah, someone else did that. I can't remember what they did it for, but it went wildfire on the internet. Yeah, proper. He's just looking lost, like he's just arrived. And he's like, I don't know. Yeah, I think that was probably a Redditor, I would have thought.
So I was going to ask about effects. What effects do you use VideoMax for?
What effects do I use VideoMax for? What I'd say without opening it. What do I dig in that's better in VideoMax? I really dig that hologrammy stuff. Just tweaking stuff really, and just experimenting, layering stuff on top. It's great for building glitch effects and stuff. Often do VJing for festivals or club nights or stuff like that. So kind of use that time as a time to experiment with stacking effects through VideoMax.
And do you trigger much samples, like without scratching, like hitting drum pads, triggering video samples?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Mix Emergency kind of brought in the video sampler thing, which is great. You kind of map the MIDI button to the video sampler in Mix Emergency, and then duplicate the same MIDI key to the sampler in Serato. So, and the options with like how the video interacts was wicked. So definitely do that. Obvious things of like hitting drums and just making percussion out of anything really. But yeah, I think that goes a long way to kind of show an audience as well how you're interacting and how some of the tech is working. It kind of seems to work well.
Do you often have a camera on your hands to show what you're doing?
Not often, but
sometimes.
I do. Yeah, for sure. Certainly helps on big stages when you're miles away from an audience. Just so they can see that, when you're moving the record, the video's moving. Because, even now the technology's, old enough that everyone should know better, but it's shoot myself in the foot a bit using an iPad, because people are often like, oh, so the video comes through the iPad, how do you DJ in time so well with the visuals? And it's just this whole thing of like, oh no, my turntables are playing a control signal which is controlling essentially a music video. It's like having two DVD players, and they're just can't comprehend. To me, that's so frustrating, but just let it go and enjoy the mystery, because I think that kind of confusion in people makes them come back and want to see it again, and wants their friends to see it, and build an audience like that a bit.
Have you done a lot of projects that basically existed live and then you weren't really able to put them out into the internet?
Yes and no. There's a ton that exists that I've just haven't got round to. I'm pretty fussy like that. I don't think I'd. There was a whole summer I was kind of doing Bowie stuff, and I wouldn't really feel comfortable just going to a gig or a festival and just hitting record and sticking that online. I really want like the online versions to be even more intricate and something that I'd be really proud of. And if there's slip-ups or mistakes or niggles or got overexcited beat juggling or something, I'd feel really embarrassed about it and ashamed of it.
Yeah, so that's the thing online. I try to keep things fast-paced too when online, but I think there is an audience that would watch your long-form shows that you do play live and just recorded.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few kicking about that have been to places where they said, "Hey, can we record this on GoPro?" and then they've stuck it online. And yeah, I'm cool with that. I want to do more. It's just still finding the time for everything, really. And like you say, this list of priorities that switches around so much that, I've literally probably got 6 or 7 live things that I was doing that haven't made it online. which I should do. You know, even like the Paul's Boutique thing that I did with Money Shot on Food, there's nearly 2 hours of video content we were touring that with that hasn't made it online yet. There's just loads. But all of it equates tons of time sat in front of a computer, which I kind of, you know, don't really want to do.
Only one more thing. Every time I do this, I ask people to make funny noises, so that I can make a little like 10-second trailer of them making funny noises. Could I ask you to do some funny noises?
Yeah. What funny noises have I got? This is the DJ Cheeba interview.
Cool. Well, have a lovely evening. I'll chat to you soon.
All right, Johnny, take it easy, bro.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See you soon.